On August 4th, 1962, Marilyn Monroe was found dead in her Brentwood, California home at the age of 36. I will be persuading the audience today to believe that Marilyn Monroe was murdered and did not die of suicide or accidental overdose. I have cross-referenced a multitude of sources, books, and movies, and I feel like I have a good grip on this case. I believe that we should figure out what happened to Marilyn because no one deserves to die alone and have no answers of what happened. The original report said that Marilyn Monroe either died of suicide or accidental overdose. I believe that Marilyn Monroe was either killed by the Kennedys or organized crime mobsters Jimmy Hoffa and Sam Giancana. But before we get into all of that, let's talk a little bit about Marilyn Monroe. On June 1st, 1926, in Los Angeles, California, Norma Jean Mortensen was born. She later changed her name to Marilyn Monroe, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. In an article from History Channel's website, last update was on August 5th, 2019. The editors tell us that Marilyn's mother was in and out of asylums because of her mental health. So this resulted in Marilyn in and out of foster care until the age of 16. At the age of 16, she decided to get married to her first husband, but later then divorcing him because he didn't want her to have a job and she wanted to get out there and be famous. So in 1946, she got her big break and signed a contract with 20th Century Fox and changed her name to Marilyn Monroe. The actress seemed to have everything until the day of her death. If you know Marilyn Monroe, then you know that she had an affair with not just one Kennedy, but two Kennedys. President JFK and his brother, the Attorney General at the time, Robert F. Kennedy. The brothers thought that if the affair was made public, that their social status in government would decrease and they would not be able to run for anything. So, according to the Marilyn Monroe biographies by both Donald Cepetto, an American biographist issued in 1993, and Norman Mailer, an American novelist, his book was issued in 1973. The risk of exposing these affairs led either JFK or Robert Kennedy to enlist the aid of the CIA or of the FBI to cover up Marilyn's, or to kill Marilyn Monroe and make it look like a suicide. They had motive to kill Marilyn because she knew secrets that she wasn't supposed to know, and they knew that she knew stuff that she wasn't supposed to know, and they wanted to off her because of this, or she was going to tell everybody about the affairs, so they were like, we have to get rid of her. Based on the official autopsy report by the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office by Thomas Noguchi, he stated that she either died of accidental overdose or suicide overdose. And that they found all the medicine bottles by her bed that were by her bed in her system, and she had a cell phone in her hand with her face down in her bed. They did a toxicology report and found all the medicines that were beside her bedside table in her system. So that was a big thing too. She had no bruising, so nothing of foul play. In Lois Banner's, an author and retired history professor, biography of Marilyn Monroe issued in 2012, she noted that Marilyn Monroe was dealing with a lot of psychological issues at the time of her death and drug abuse. So she believes that Marilyn did end up killing herself. The next theory that we're going to talk about is Marilyn Monroe's involvement with organized crime. The Kennedy brothers, Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio, which is Marilyn Monroe's ex-husband, one of her ex-husbands, died, or had documented ties to organized crime. According to Milo Sapirgalos, a private investigator biography issued in 1982, he claims that Marilyn Monroe was killed by Jimmy Hoffa and Sam Giancana. His conclusion was based on interviews, reviews of her autopsy report, all this stuff. He believes that there was bruises found on her body. They read her diary and said that, saw that she did have ties to the Kennedys. It was reported that her last night alive, she spent it with Sam Giancana, who is a huge mobster. The official report by Tom Segucci still stands by that she had no bruises on her body, that the only problem that he couldn't figure out was either she died of suicide or accidental overdose. There was nothing reporting that she had died of foul play, and there was no reason to believe that she died of foul play. Anthony Summers, a Pulitzer Prize finalist, in his Maryland biography issued in 1985, noting her connection to Kennedy, organized crime, and drug problems, also supports a drug overdose. For getting back to us concluding this, Marilyn Monroe was a huge superstar. She died way too young. I feel it was in the hands of the government or organized crime leader. Although her death occurred 60 years ago, I believe that she deserves the justice that she deserves. I believe that somebody killed her, and that if we go over the results, that we'll find out who did it. Further investigation needs to happen for her, and justice needs to be served to whoever did this. Thank you.